Hey YouTube, how's it going? Anthony back at you with another here in my office. Um, I know I made another video not too long ago, just a couple of days ago, mentioning Wells Fargo, and I said I'd make another video after I had my interview with Wells Fargo. And I actually just got off the call with Morgan Stanley, Human Resources. They approached me with another audit professional practices role. Those are basically the auditors of the auditors. So, a lot of fun there. But I uh, I took the call. It was a short, 10-minute thing, just going over my experience briefly and answering some various HR questions they had, some standard questions. So she said that they would be in contact with me next week if I'm shortlisted for any other interviews. So kind of at the very beginning stages with Morgan Stanley, and then but I think the compensation at Morgan Stanley is a little lower. This is a individual contributor role. It's not a management role. But what I wanted to really talk about was I had my call with Wells Fargo yesterday. Um, had a good call. It lasted about 40 minutes, and I went through all my experience. And then was the behavioral interview where they asked me uh, situational questions and how I reacted to them, and to give them examples of things that I'd done in my past. So I was a little nervous about that because you can't really script that. You can't really. There's only so much you can do to prepare for it. You kind of just got to go with it. And I did answer all her questions, and she didn't have a lot of questions about my answers. And she said that that was good, meaning I answered the questions fully. And she just gave me good positive reinforcement during the call, and saying she was impressed with my background and my resume, and it sounded good. And the thing about the Wells Fargo role is it is in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I've been looking at houses there. And but I think when I initially moved there, if I get the offer, I'm going to take it. But I'm probably going to have my wife, stay here because we got the German Shepherds, and I can't bring three German Shepherds with me to an apartment. So excuse me, I was thirsty. Um, so the dogs probably couldn't come to the new place until I buy an actual house, or I don't know, maybe we can find an apartment that would allow three German Shepherds, but I really don't see that happening, especially like letting them out and everything. Especially if it's like one of those high rise apartments, which is kind of what I would like something with a gym and a pool and a restaurant and all that stuff, something nice. Um, but the thing about Wells Fargo is she gave me an average base salary of $154,000 over in Philadelphia, and 154,000, and then a target bonus of 30%. So if you do the math, you're at just about $200,000. So that's a lot of money. Because I was making 140 before, so I get like a $60,000 raise from my prior role. So I'm pretty excited about that. It would really allow me to clean up my debt, and have a good income to start out in a nice apartment there, making good money. And she said that the Wells Fargo role, being a manager, they made some changes at Wells Fargo, and they made it so that if your title is manager, you absolutely have to have direct reports, which is not the case. It wasn't the case at the bank I used to work at. It's not the case at a lot of banks. Audit, they call these people senior audit managers, and they don't even have anybody reporting to them. So, they say that you're more managing a process rather than managing people. But I definitely want to have that people management experience, which I already have, but I want that to continue, and have, maybe someday have a whole department reporting to me or something like that. Or not reporting directly to me, but being under me. But they have a lot of levels at Wells Fargo too. They have like staff auditors, senior auditors, principal auditors, audit managers, senior audit managers, directors, senior directors, and then like chief head of audit level. So there's a lot of growth potential, and the work she described that I would be responsible for from day one is a lot of matters requiring attention from the OCC and the Fed, MRA validation, and I did MRA validation for years in the past, so I have a lot of experience in MRA validation. And what's good too is that she was focused in on third-party risk management. If you've watched my videos, you'll know I was the subject matter expert on third-party risk management and human resources at my prior role. So I have a lot of experience in those areas and a lot of comfort in those areas, frankly. So it would be good to get into a role where I'm, familiar with the subject matter, and that would just save me a little bit of time and make the transition a little bit easier. Because back when I was interviewing at Citi, that was Treasury, and I have no experience in Treasury. And it was also, they would have preferred to have somebody who has speaks Spanish, because they focused on Latin America, LATAM. So maybe that was the reason why I didn't get the role. Maybe they found somebody who has experience or is bilingual or worked in treasury operations before. So yeah, that was. I'm sure I could have handled it, but it's just better. The Wells Fargo role is, not to mention the Wells Fargo role pays more. It probably pays $20,000-$30,000 more, which isn't peanuts. So, I'm really, I got my fingers crossed that Wells Fargo comes through, and it lifted my spirits a bit. I was getting a little down in the dumps when getting these rejections after all that work I put in at Citi, but I'm feeling better now. I'm back on my feet. And now, so really, right now we have Morgan Stanley, we have Wells Fargo, and then we have Charles Schwab. But I didn't. Sometimes I get a good feeling from calls, and sometimes I don't. Granted, I've been rejected on all of them, but I didn't really get the greatest vibe, if you will, from Charles Schwab. Granted, I did talk to them twice. I got to talk to the hiring manager, but then he said there's a whole other couple interviews that would be required, interview after interview. And what's nice about Wells Fargo is this is it only took 2 interviews, just the one with the HR and then the one with the hiring manager, which I think is all that's necessary. These are not, it's not chief executive level. I'm not going to be, responsible for like hundreds of people or working cross-functionally, really. So I don't see why, some of these companies want you to meet with everybody, and it's just, it's really stressful and not exactly my cup of tea. But hey, whatever. You just got to play by the rules and do what they ask you to do, and answer their questions and go through as many rounds of interviews as they find necessary. So that's what I'm doing, guys. So hopefully, maybe by my next here in my office video, I might have an offer to go to Philly and work for Wells Fargo. So I'm really feeling good about this one. And now it's just playing the waiting game. They said they'd probably have an answer back. She said sometime next week. So if I don't hear anything next week, I'm not going to be feeling that great. But hopefully we'll get something next week, and it won't be a rejection letter. And I'll make another video next week to let you guys know, and to update you on what's going on with Morgan Stanley, or if we hear anything from Charles Schwab. And that's about it, guys. So I'm gonna wrap up this video. This coronavirus thing is crazy. Everybody's working from home at Wells Fargo, even though this role, she said they expected to come in the office. But given the times, everybody's working from home. I think here in New York State, the governor said they want 75% of people to stay back in their stay working from home. I've really been, and my wife, we have been Instacarting. We've still been doing that, but frankly, these supermarkets that we've gone to, They've been on the news. One of the couple of the supermarkets we went to were on the news for having people who were exposed and had coronavirus. So, when you're pushing the shopping cart and you're touching everything, and you're around, they're pretty busy right now because everybody's panic buying. So, it doesn't seem like it's worth it right now to risk my health. But as it's the only way I have to bring any cash into my bank account right now. I've been considering selling some stuff. I have a fantastic stereo system that's worth a lot of money that I was hoping to hang on to. But I'll tell you guys, if these rolls don't come through, I don't get an offer, and time goes on, I'm probably just gonna have to bite the bullet and sell it so I can put several $1,000s in my bank account, and that'll hold me over. And that's unfortunately the way it is right now until I get employed or until we settle on our lawsuit. And it's been a quiet time with the lawsuit. I'm hoping that the coronavirus thing doesn't affect the operations of the lawsuit, because as I've said in past videos, we're hoping to settle on the lawsuit for approximately $500,000 and approximately in fall of 2020. So maybe another 6 months I'll get my money, and with $500,000 I'll be all set. I won't be scraping by anymore. I'll be in really good shape. And if I stay in Buffalo, I'm going to be able to do those rental properties and all that. But I digress. That's kind of plan B, plan C. The plan A is to get reemployed in the internal audit space, get back on my feet. So that's it, guys. So I'll make a video next week, another here in my office. So thanks for watching, and stay safe, stay away from the coronavirus, and we'll see you next time, guys.